Okay, this is a reaction video from Indigo Traveler. One day in North Korea, and it's an overwhelming experience, and I would imagine it would be. I have seen videos of people who have been to North Korea and what it's like there. You know, the DPKR, people who've escaped from North Korea, and that sort of thing. So this is going to be kind of interesting to me. One day in North Korea, and it's an overwhelming experience. Let's see what this brings us.
I was not paid by any company or government to make this video. I do not condone, support, or promote the regime of North Korea in any manner whatsoever.
Well, I don't imagine anybody would. North Korea, it's the Kim dynasty, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. But let's go on.
So please do your own research.
North Korea. The propaganda.
Kim Jong-un, his regime, human rights, prison camps.
The ballistic missile.
Yeah, in North Korea, I remember seeing a movie, Total Control 14, I think that's what it's called, about a guy who escaped one of the gulags that they have, or concentration camps they have in North Korea. Look, North Korea is definitely a country that marches to its own beat. And if you think that in places where you live that freedom is restricted, you have no idea until you've seen what they have to do in North Korea. I know there's a like in the Pyongyang, in the privileged areas, there's a box which you can turn the sound down, for the broadcast or the propaganda that they put out there, but you can't turn it off. Yeah.
Otto Warmbier. It was a moment for the history
Otto Warmbier. That's a tragic story. What happened there?
books.
I am not a journalist. I'm just some kid with a consumer camera who was lucky enough to gain access into the most isolated and controlled country in the world. This video series is a product of that.
There have been people who've made it into North Korea before, Americans and other nationalities, and they pretty much come out with the same story. But yeah, I've seen a lot of these pictures before. Yeah, that right there we just saw with the buildings. That was the DMZ. That's the militarized zone. That's where he was on the North Korean side. Those were the buildings with the blue. That's on the other side of that is South Korea. Propaganda is huge in North Korea.
Alright guys, so welcome to date.
Now this is just about North Korea, okay? I'm sure he does a bunch of other different places that he goes to, but I was kind of interested in North Korea.
2 of the North Korea trip. Beautiful day here in Pyongyang. Apparently it's going to be really hot today. Today we're going on a city tour, so we're going to explore the capital.
Yeah, and keep in mind those tours that they go on, those are government-sponsored tours. If you make it to North Korea, you don't just get out and go and do what you want, go see what you want. Hey, I'm going to go here. Hey, it doesn't work like that. They're going to show you what they want you to see.
City here. No idea what to expect, as per usual. I think we're starting the day.
And at that hotel that he's in, he's not allowed to just get up out there and walk out and take a walk around. I remember seeing reading a book by a professional wrestler promoter named Eric Bischoff. He got out and wasn't aware of that. Just went jogging around and he almost got kicked out of the country for it. But yeah.
At some important monuments, so had to wear long pants to show respect.
Yeah, that's Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. Kim Jong-un is now the leader of the DPKR. Of course, in America it's called the Korean War, the Forgotten War. As far as what they tell the people in North Korea is that the American imperialists invaded, and it was the leadership of Kim Il-sung that pushed the Americans back. Not exactly that what happened, but you could read up on it on yourself. But let's see what more we have to go on with this.
So as we arrived at the Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il monuments, our tour coordinator Simon had to buy flowers.
Yeah, you have to buy flowers. You have to go and present those flowers at the statue, and you have to bow and show your respect.
To place under the statues. I'm not 100% sure if this is mandatory, but I feel like it is, but
It is mandatory.
I could be wrong. So when taking photos of these statues, we had to be very careful how we took the photos. The leaders had to be fully framed. I think this was just to show how big the statues are. They're 22 meters tall each. The statues were completed in 2012, so they're reasonably new. To both sides of the statues, there are 229 figures representing the struggle that the Korean people went through during the war.
Well, there's back in the late 90s, an American journalist made it to North Korea, and one of the cameramen wanted to take a picture of those two statues and got down. You see one of the miners gets to say he was going to be kicked out of the country. Now, he wasn't kicked out of the country, but they will threaten you like that.
Underneath, you can see.
And I believe when you come into the country, you have to surrender your passport and your phone and everything like that. You get it back when you leave, but you can't take it around with you.
The helmets from the US Army that the Korean people are standing on in the mud gives you an idea of the feelings here.
Yeah, the North Koreans consider Americans their mortal enemies. We are the imperialists, and a lot of propaganda in North Korea is generally directed at hatred towards the Americans.
So as you can see there, we just went to the main monument of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. We had to be extremely respectful there. No photos with sunglasses on, no selfies, had to have our arms by our sides. And now we're heading off to Children's Day Memorial, so it should be a big kind of ceremony because it's International Children's Day today, so let's see what that's like.
Xiong peace. So if you're bored, there's something to look out for. There you go.
So just arrived at the Fun Fair, it's called. It's like an amusement park, so not sure what to expect here. Maybe we get to go on some rides. Check it out, there's heaps of people here. Just learnt an interesting fact about the cars. There's actually a lot more cars on the road than I expected to see here. All the cars are divided into categories by number plate. So depending on the color of the number plate and the numbers, that will tell you what the car connects to. So blue number plates belong to a company, black is military, green is something to do with the government, I think. Super interesting. It's very rare to have your own car here. If you have your own car, then chances are you've succeeded.
I know a story. They had a situation where they actually had North and South Koreans actually working on the border, and the North Koreans were shocked by the fact that the South Koreans had their own cars.
Something like noteworthy, like won the Olympics or been gifted it by the government or something.
These are the special privileged kids, and they get special training. And what these kids could probably do is pretty amazing.
So as we arrived at this Children's Day celebration, we were instantly struck and fascinated because I think it was an extremely important event. There were cameras.
Yeah, how you react, like when Kim Il-sung died or when Kim Jong-un died. Well, not Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-il died. You had to be showing emotion that you were. If they didn't believe you when you were crying, then you probably got sent to a prison camp.
everywhere, and there was even a drone flying. So basically, the day was based around children's games. So they'd have events like tug of war and relays and things. It was pretty cool. One part that I wasn't really sure about though was they had these kids having to clap these pieces of plastic together, and this day was so hot. I think it was in between 35 and 40 degrees centigrade. And these kids are just clapping these bits of plastic together for hours on end. We spent like 3 hours there. The whole time these kids were clapping these things, and I don't know how long they were doing that before and after we left. So it seemed a bit harsh, but apart from that, it's super interesting. So check out these clips. So I've come to the back of the...
And keep in mind, like I said, they're showing him what they want him to see, not what he... Because there's a lot of kids who are... I mean, I've seen pictures that were smuggled out of North Korea of kids that are literally abandoned. The age of what you saw there, the kids who were out there doing the relays and stuff, and trying to survive on their own.
Amusement park. Pretty much just been let to walk freely. Obviously, I think this is a fenced-in area, but it's not as controlled as you'd imagine. There's some cool roller coasters here. I'd love to be able to ride them, but I think they're closed today.
I'm not sure they're even open at all. I think that's there for show, but I could be wrong. And yeah, the fact that he's able to walk around a little bit there does show they have loosened up somewhat, but it's still, he's in a controlled area. Keep in mind, he's not. If you wanted to leave there and say, "Hey, I want to go here," he wouldn't be able to do that.
Because it's International Children's Day and they're having the fun fair and ceremony and dances, whatever.
And there's an eye on him, make no doubt about it.
Whatever they're doing down there, completely different than I expected. I mean, it's a lot more relaxed. But still, the locals don't really kind of look at us foreigners. I don't know what that's about. I did get to talk to some locals so far, though. There's some people that were training to be guides, and yeah, it's really nice to talk to. I'm not sure what we're doing after this. I think we might be going to get lunch or ride the metro. I think we're going to ride the metro, which is the world's deepest metro system in the world. World's deepest metro stations in Kiev in Ukraine, which I went to in a past video. But anyway, check back in with you soon. So this clip was a pretty strange but funny experience. I was lying on the grass waiting for the rest of the group because we were here for like 3 hours, so we had a lot of time to kill. And these kids came over to me and started saying things in Korean and pretending to shoot me with toy guns. It was super cool to
They probably thought you were American.
interact with the kids like that.
Thanks.
Boy, don't those people look happy. Yep, there's Kim Il-sung himself walking. Everybody has a smile on their face. It certainly didn't look like that when they were going up the escalator, but it's a pretty clean car, I'll give it that. Okay, as someone who's been on the trains in Germany before, those are really well-made trains. Oh, look, and we also have a smartphone. Obviously, that's not him. Interesting. Do they allow smartphones now? Because I believe I've talked to people that or heard from people who've been in North Korea that you have to give your smartphone and your passport. Maybe they're letting their smartphones be used in North Korea. That's a big change.
So you can see from those few shots just how clean and pristine these metro stations were. We rode about 5 stops altogether and stopped at about 3 stations. So grand and clean. You compare that to, let's say, Europe, the metro stations, the graffiti and things here in
Yeah, in Germany you do see a lot of graffiti, but you don't see that in North Korea. Look, I have no doubt they keep this thing running pristine and very clean. I mean, that's the thing I notice about it. It is very, very well kept.
Pyongyang, it was crystal clean. I swear you could eat your lunch off the ground here. So clean. And I think that the locals have a responsibility to help keep the city clean, because all throughout Pyongyang, it's so clean. It's incredible.
Yeah, the parts of Pyongyang I was shown, like I said, he's being taken where they shown what they want him to see, not what you would see if you just walked around. But again, it could be the same place every place else. Okay, just because they're showing him different places that they want him to see doesn't mean everything isn't well kept and doesn't look nice.
Cleanest place I've been to. Anyway, you can see this escalator here. This is really similar to the escalators, and other parts of the station are really similar to the metro stations in Kiev, Ukraine. Both are the world's deepest metro stations and metro systems. A lot of the architecture is quite similar, and I think obviously that's because they were both built in the Soviet era. Really fascinating to compare metro stations in completely different parts of the world, but just so similar. Absolutely fascinating. To leave. So just come out of the metro station, and here's the Arc de Triomphe.
Yeah. Well,
it's actually 11 meters higher than the one in Paris.
Yeah, I was about to say, Arc de Triomphe is in Paris. It's not in Pyongyang.
It's pretty impressive. It marks
There are a lot of impressive things in North Korea, no question about it.
Date that North Korea was liberated from the Japanese in 1945.
It was split into two different, the North and the South. And the North was the communist, and the South was the more Democrat. And you ought to look at pictures that they have of North and South Korea at night in Seoul, South Korea, and around there. It's all lit up, and like there's a life and vibrant. But in North Korea, it's very, very dark. And in a lot of the videos that I've seen about North Korea, the power goes out power goes out quite a bit in North Korea.
So after driving past some more pictures of the leaders' faces, we stopped for another beautiful lunch, vegetables, noodles, everything, little rice cakes, beautiful. After lunch, we drove past this big theme park with huge roller coasters, and we arrived at the birthplace of Kim Il-sung. So as you can imagine, Kim Il-sung being the founder of North Korea, this place is extremely sacred. You have to use your utmost respect here. It's not a place to mess around at all. So after checking that out, we drove to the...
Yeah, my guess is if they're showing you this place. If you go I'm not sure that's where he's from, but if it is, yeah, they're gonna treat this like you're on sacred ground. And look, if you ever visit DPKR, North Korea, if you ever visit there, I know I would show the proper respect, because I'm a guest in their country. They allowed me the privilege to be in their country, and I would be as respectful as I could possibly be. But yeah, if you went in there and decided to do something silly or take a funny picture, it's not going to go over well. And they mentioned Otto Warmbier, and if you don't know who that is, then you should look it up, because you don't want anything like that to happen to you.
The supermarket's a place I couldn't get any clips because we weren't allowed to take our cameras in. Here's a little clip that my friend got on his phone. We just got some North Korean money, and I don't know how much it is. How much did we get? We got like heaps.
10 euros?
10 euros or 100 Chinese yen worth, so we're going to try and spend that, but it's a lot of money. I am going to do another video later in the series just about prices in North Korea, like how expensive is North Korea, but stay tuned for that video later in the series. These are a few pieces of fruit and some nuts that I got for the trip. But the supermarket was completely stocked with food, and I talked to some locals in there as well. These two young guys came and asked me where I was from, which was pretty cool. But yeah, there was heaps of different kinds of food, mainly packaged food. There wasn't that much fresh food. Lots of things imported from China, but still a lot of North Korean products as well. I'll talk about that more in the How Expensive Is video. From the supermarket.
I once saw a video of Kim Jong-un going and looking at a store. They had everything you could possibly all American products. They had, Atlanta, Georgia sugar water or Coca-Cola. They had a whole bunch of different other stuff there, but nobody was going in and shopping. He was the only one there. It was like, hey, look what we have here.
We arrived at the War Museum. This War Museum was fascinating, if not very sad, from both sides of the war. These are all tanks here. There's also some planes and a helicopter that was taken from the US during the war. Sunken warship, some pictures of some hostages there as well. Pretty heavy stuff. The tour was given by a really lovely young lady wearing a full North Korean army uniform. She was...
And no doubt was... look, like I said, I don't trust that the North Korean people, or that she's going to tell the entire story accurately from both sides, and that's fine. They can tell whatever story they want. That's their business. But yeah, North Korea's version of the Korean conflict and the actual story of the Korean conflict are generally two different things. It's mostly told from that they were the heroes, that they did everything, walked on water. It was the great leadership of Kim Il Sung that persevered and pushed back the imperialists. And again, if that's they want the story they want to tell, more power to them. But yeah, I'd really be interested to see what one of these, you watch one of these tours and what they're saying, what happened versus what actually did happen. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm offended or that the Americans were great and walked on water versus everybody else or anything like that. But
was really gentle and soft-spoken, and she explained everything from the North Korean side of the war.
And under the instruction of the commander of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, infiltrated the tablet into the territorial water of the PRK to commit espionage acts against our country.
She showed us one of the Navy ships,
the USS Pueblo.
That they captured from the US as well. After this, we went inside the museum, but I wasn't allowed to film, sadly. But it was one of the most incredible
The ship is USS Pueblo, and there's discrepancy about where it was actually captured. It was in international waters, and did the North Korean have the right to do something like that?
Museums I've ever seen. Very brutal, but fascinating nevertheless. So we just came out of the War Museum. Probably spent like an hour or so in there. We had a guide. It was, I don't know how to phrase it, but just so much attention to detail. I'll try and find some photos on Google or something and put them up on the screen now just to show you. They had this big panorama, hand-painted 360. Took 41 artists and 1.5 years to paint, but it was absolutely breathtaking. Anyway, now we're getting on the bus. We're going to a huge tower that looks over Pyongyang, so it should be super.
Yeah, if you look behind him, if you can see it very well, you see that pointy thing in the back. I believe that's that hotel that they built that nobody can stay in.
Interesting.
And that's the one I was talking about. I think that's the hotel that they built that nobody can stay in because there's just not, look, they don't get a whole lot of visitors, to be fair. And I think there are parts of that are still not completed to this day. I could be wrong on that, but I don't believe it's finished. But that's sits in the middle. And what the previous picture showed, the three people. They had one held a hammer, one for the worker, one held a sickle for the farmer, and the other held a brush for the paint for the artist. And if you go back, I didn't hit pause in time. If you go back, there's a bridge, and there's an island behind this bridge, and I believe that's the hotel where foreigners stay. Yeah, that's it. There's a hotel. I believe that hotel right there. If you look at the bridge and then you go back to this building structure right there, I think that's the hotel where they stay. And one thing that the two leaders who are no longer with us, you'll see their pictures all over Pyongyang. And there's a better representation. There's the hammer, the sickle, and the paintbrush. The worker, the farmer, and the artist.
So we've arrived at another monument. This one represents the working party. We've got the hammer and then the writing brush in the middle and the sickle. So the hammer represents the workers, the writing brush represents the intellectuals, and the sickle represents the farmers. It's 50 meters high. It was built on the 50-year anniversary of the working party.
And it really is impressive. He said the intellectual, but the artist, same thing. But yeah, that's what the three things represent.
Alright, so we're bowling now, just before dinner, but check it out. Got a ball. Yeah, this is a power cut that happened while we were bowling, but only...
Yeah, that's something I said earlier in the video, where when you get to North Korea, they have a lot of power outages.
It lasted for about
in Pyongyang.
5 to 10 minutes, and then it came back on.
And we got a strike.
Yo! From bowling, we went into the basement and had a huge spread of food. The food was seriously so good on this trip. They give you beer with every meal. You can see here a barbecue. They also had a large range of vegetables. It was heaven. Alright guys, so back from the day.
If you like vegetables.
Huge day. So many activities you see. Towards the end I slowly stopped putting in clips because we were just seeing so many different things. So many monuments. The ones that stood out to me were the big monument at the start with Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, made of bronze. That was out of this world, amazing. The museum was epic inside. Sorry I couldn't show you guys, but you'll have to come and see it for yourself.
Yeah, they're not going to let you, I've heard about that. They don't really let you bring cameras and things like that and do something with the museum, but that's neither here nor there. That's just how they do things there in North Korea. But look, but keep in mind, they're showing showing him or showing us, we're looking at right now, what they want you to see. And again, that's, if you wanted to go someplace else or do something else, if you say, hey, let's take a ride out to the countryside, let's rent a car, it doesn't work like that.
It's a really interesting museum, delicious food again, love Korean food, hooked on it now. Oh, and the tower, that was definitely cool. Got a really good view of the whole of Pyongyang there. Tomorrow We're going for a 7-hour drive. We're actually going to the coast, which is apparently quite rare that tourists go to the coast. The hotel we're staying in is right on a beach. Be able to walk right out the beach, go swimming and things. So swimming in North Korea. Anything where you put North Korea on the end sounds cool. Anyway, I'm super tired again, probably talking nonsense. Thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for the next video. And if you didn't see the last video, that was the previous day. That was us flying into North Korea. So go back and check that out if you missed it. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching, guys. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night from North Korea.
Okay. I guess I got part 2 of a series here. I was kind of curious because I've seen documentaries and that sort, and I'm fascinated with North Korea to some extent, even though I've never been there myself. But I do know something from what I've watched and other videos, what other people have told me. But yeah, if you like this, please let me know, and I'll do more. But please click like, share, and subscribe, not only for them, but do it for me as well. But I enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your day.